I always wonder too. My biggest question is I want to know, do they want, if they want to do some kind of sacrifice, are they trying to sacrifice what's like a better sacrifice, like 10 million worthless NPCs, or just like a small group of like more powerful spirited people, maybe, 10,000 powerful
Oh,
spirits versus 10 million normies.
yeah, okay, definitely the normies are nothing because if you think about it, they're empty shells. They're husks of the people that they used to be, and it's becoming more and more like that. And
Do,
I genuinely believe that. Like, I think some people are not even real people anymore.
so
I
you
think
do
the
believe
more you
in NPC theory?
Oh, I totally believe in it. I've seen it. Like I kind of go more based on stuff I experience like personally, and I've definitely experienced it. I think that the more you sell your soul to ideals, especially ideals that are handed to you by people, that you've never met before or like experts, because they can just put out a news story and say, "Oh yeah, well, a scientist or an expert said this, so therefore it's true," and people believe it. Like that's basically ideals just being spoon-fed to you basically. And I think the more you sell your soul to that, I think you really do lose pieces of yourself and you do start to lose your personality and your mind and your ability to think and even be conscious. And I think that once you get to a certain point, you're not even you anymore.
Yeah, it's like you become an animated like golem of the system or whatever. Like the beast system itself just controls you, and then you become a propagator, like Doctor Jack Thunder says. You you like to mess with the tarot, right?
Yeah, I mess with it.
My biggest question of the tarot is like, how the hell does it work? Because anytime I pull cards and try to read some cards or something, it seems like it's always on point. So I don't know. I just don't get how it works.
Yeah. So yeah, I can definitely talk about that. I'm not gonna say it's like a different belief on it, but like I kind of don't believe that like the power of intuition or like what people like to call psychic abilities, like any of your like clairvoyant senses. I don't really believe those are superpowers or like mystical. I think that's like, in my opinion, those are basic human abilities. I think that's like, or like telepathy or stuff like that. I think those are very basic human abilities that we've just been programmed and like lost the ability to use. So I don't necessarily believe like being able to read tarot cards really well makes you like a psychic or like a divinator or whatever you want to call it. I think that, and you have to kind of go into the history of the cards too. Like those cards were at least like the original ones, and like the symbolism is kind of like carried on throughout like all the different artworks that have been incorporated into them. And I think it really like heavily comes down to symbolism. And again, like everything is theory, right? So I'm just gonna kind of talk about like how I perceive it, but I perceive it as like the symbols are kind of like electromagnetic fields. And I think the tarot has the symbolisms of like human experience like written out in them. So it's like I think it resonates with whatever electromagnetism like you have going on inside of you in that moment, and I think it's able to bring it out in the symbols because I think those symbols connect to you like on that electrical field. That's how I think it works. Because I mean, I've experienced that. I've done it for like
But
quite a while.
more than tarot, would you extrapolate that to entire reality itself?
Yes.
So like the symbols that you see walking through the day, you find a feather or anything like that, like that's something you're almost like projecting. Is that how you'd say it?
Yeah, I totally believe that. I definitely think that whatever you're putting out electrically, like, in that energy field is gonna come to you, definitely. But I think it all does come down to symbols. It seems like it comes down to symbols, words, and numbers, basically, from what I can tell.
Yeah, and like you said too, like it sounds crazy to some people, but like you said, telepathy is something. I used to remember back in like middle school or something like that, like uh we'd be around these girls or whatever, and they would like look at each other, and they basically just knew what each other was saying. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, "Yo,
Yeah.
how do you guys do that?" Because I was just a stupid ass kid, and but that's kind of like
Yeah.
just an innate ability. Like, yeah, you say if human, especially if you're
Hmm.
someone you're close to, you can just hit them with that look, and they already know like what that look is. It's like a hundred words in one look.
Oh yeah, totally. No, I believe that. And I think like it's you do have to learn how to really remove a lot of noise and like static though. You have to learn how to quiet yourself and like be okay like sitting in silence, to learn. learn how to do that, and it's like everybody can do that. I think like it's different though. Like women kind of have more of a tendency to be more, and I've kind of noticed that like men I think are better astrologers because astrology, like to me, I kind of look at that too is really similar to like a meteorologist who just gets on and says like, okay, it's gonna rain because of this. Like you don't, and then it's like if they say it's gonna rain and it rains, we don't say like, oh wow, they're like a magic wizard and they predicted the rain. It's like, well, no, because they looked at what was going on and came to that like logical conclusion. And that's literally what astrology is. It's really not like being psychic and like saying, oh, well, this is going to happen because this is here. It's literally the same thing of just like, well, it's just the facts of it, you know?
Yeah, like these are the conditions, and then like for example, like you get like you just said there, that makes sense. Like if you have high humidity and storm,
Yeah.
basically it's going to lead to rain eventually or whatever. So that makes sense to me.
Right. So if you have a conjunction on the 21st going into Capricorn season with Saturn, you're probably going to have war. I mean, it's like,
Some
it's
shit's
not
gonna hit the
really,
fan. Yeah, something's gonna happen. Seems
right.
like.
You can't deny it. Yeah, totally.
And it's over longer periods of
Um,
time, so it might not be like that exact day, but it's like that time, like right around then,
yeah.
probably. So,
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because nothing's exact either. Because sometimes, like, what I think is people try to make predictions. Because I've seen a lot of people make predictions that haven't come true. And I think the problem with predictions is stuff may happen on those days that you don't see. Because I think most of it we don't get to see. But I think something energetically has to happen on those days as a catalyst for things that you might not see until 10 years later, probably. Like, I think the dates are definitely significant.
what do you think about, like you mentioned earlier, like the numbers? Do you have any insights on the numbers? Like, like people keep saying, you might go through your a period for like a week, you might see ones and sevens all week or something like that, and it kind of seems to change like as you go
Yeah.
through it. I remember like right before I took a little break from my work, like
Mhm.
I kept getting 666s at work on everything I was doing. It was like six 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 six
Yeah,
six 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 six, and then that was just
that's
to
funny.
me that was like I
Yeah.
don't really think that that's an evil number or something, but that was like a sign. I don't to me, and then I took a break,
Right.
and then I was better after I took a little break.
It's kind of like the same thing as language. You know, you hear people talk about like, okay, well, language was created to kind of keep us from using our other senses, you know, because we have to communicate this way now, and it puts spells on people, you know. I don't really think numbers are any different than that. I mean, they're man-made,
Right.
but obviously they have some type of magic or whatever ingrained in them, and I think it is the symbolism, like, you know, I think it's infused with that. So I think when you're going through something, like, yeah, you might see numbers appear in patterns that are going to be significant to whatever you're putting out, probably. But I think it's the same thing. I think it's not really any different, like with language. I think it's a man-made thing that they've connected symbolism to that can resonate with you. And I don't think it's, yeah, like 666 too. Like I don't think it's an evil number. I don't think it can be good or evil. I think it can be used for either depending on what you're doing. Like who you are and what your intentions are.
Yeah, that's what I've said before too. Like all these things
Because
seem to be
yeah.
like tools, and they can be
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
hammer can build a house, or you can smash someone's skull in with it. So it's whatever you want to do.
Yeah, the tools are totally malleable. I think just some of them, you know, the energies are obviously different with them, but it
Yeah,
just
and
depends on what you're doing. I mean, they're man-made, so it's
speaking
like,
of malleable, like you just said malleable, when I went on Krako's show the other day, and then I'm pretty sure, yeah, he said the human being is basically just programmable matter almost. And then you see that a
there's a
lot with
reason for that.
these. What's the reason?
Well, like I said, it's really just like my perspective, so
Yeah,
it's how I see it. What I think is because like I look at animals and people, and it seems like animals embody their full nature. Like I think it's like you can say, okay, they're run by instinct purely, but I think it's more than that. I think they embody their full nature because they're aware of their full nature. So it's like, you know, dogs follow dog nature. That is not going to slip into cat nature, and cats really follow like their nature. And it's like you see that with animals. But I think the problem with the human being is that we don't have a full understanding of what our nature really is yet. Because I think a lot of that has been hidden from us, obviously. and a lot of our history has been erased. A lot of our narratives have been rewritten and changed. So I think we don't know what our full nature is. And I think that's why we're so malleable. And like I think that's why we're so attached to identity. And you see that with what's going on now with the mask and everything. And even like there's all the social issues too you see with people that will cling like violently to an identity. But I think that comes down to the fact that we don't know what our full nature is yet.
Well, you said these people have like hidden the information and all that
Yeah.
stuff that you said, and I definitely don't disagree with you at all. But who are these people, and why are they hiding the true nature of humanity from us? Do you think they're just kind of like demons or like entities, or do you think it's like actual human beings that just run the world? Like not the Rothschilds. It's probably someone you've never even heard of, but you know what I mean? Like
No.
a concept
Yeah,
like
right.
that
Yeah.
as a concept.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think it's like a family like that, or do you think it's or both or what?
So I don't know. It's really hard to make a claim like that because it's like how would you ever know that? Because so much of the information is twisted and rewritten and just inverted basically.
Yeah.
But
So why would they
like
do
what for
that
me
though?
would well, all right, what it comes down to for me is like I definitively believe that there is a good and evil, right? And I do think that there could be entities, but I think that certain people um and it probably does go back to like ancient people, like more ancient civilizations that are aware of those energies. And I think if you're in line with a dark energy, like yeah, you're gonna want to consume more power and more power. So I mean, it probably started somehow like that. Because it also seems like all the civilizations and even like the ancient civilizations, like we all still have the same symbolism. And even like cultures that had no way of like communicating with each other back in the day,
Yeah.
like before any of the technology,
Like
like they still had the same
1970.
symbolism. Oh, right, yeah,
Yeah.
1970. No, way before that.
No, I
Like,
know.
um, yeah. But you see like the same symbols in like ancient Egypt or like in China or like, Native American, and they have no way of knowing that. So I think some things are just self-evident within the human spirit.
Okay, if there's this controlling class and they want us to forget everything, do you think that's more likely, or
Mhm.
do you think it's like that concept of like the precession of the equinox, that the human consciousness itself goes through super long cycles of like basically almost like it's asleep for maybe
Mm.
thousands of years or something, and then is the consciousness is expanding for like thousands of years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be true. Obviously, like if there are darker forces that, want to keep us down, they're obviously doing a really good job of that. I don't know. I think it's hard to say, but it just seems like somewhere along the line, like for whatever reason, human nature was completely like usurped and suppressed and hidden.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely,
I mean, it's
100%.
got to have some, yeah, it's got to have something to do with that. Like, they obviously do not want people to be able to step into their full nature. Because I honestly think the human being is probably pretty powerful.
Well, absolutely, because you're under full scale attack from birth to the grave, poison in your food, poison in your water, even though they're all just like super like microdosing you with these like aluminum, and it's just a constant barrage of the frequencies, even tuning the frequencies to the wrong, 440
Yeah.
hertz or whatever. Even if these things are just super, super minor, inconsequential things, basically it becomes like death of a thousand paper cuts because you're just bombarded with this shit
Yeah.
from your entire life.
Oh yeah, so what can you do? Exactly. What can you do? And if you're lucky enough to even gain some type of self-awareness or awareness of what's going on, it's like, well, great, now you have to work on undoing all of your programming. And I don't even know if that ever ends because, no matter how much you think you know, you are programmed. All of us are.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what they're so the controlling class, whatever, they seem to run off of uh the control of the information. Whoever they are, it's probably not the Rothschilds, but a concept like that, these small group of people at the top of the pyramid probably have all the information, and then
Well, yeah,
they keep
obviously
that shit
somebody
hidden.
controls the information.
Yeah, they keep that
Yeah.
shit hidden from themselves, so they probably know how to even like reincarnate these people, maybe keep some of the memories or skills or something that they've had in the past.
Oh, I think they do. I think they definitely do that. That's just how I see it, though.
what about these people that are like the screen, the enemies on the screen, the Donald Trumps and the Queen of England and these people that we do see? Do you think they really have any types of power? Do you think that they're just basically puppets, or do you think there's some kind of maybe like even just like a thing built into the game? Maybe they're like almost like an entity that only exists in the TV or something like that.
Oh, I totally, yeah, I believe that. I don't think they're real people at all. I think it's all based on entities and characters that they give us, for sure. And I don't like my concept of demons like isn't like, you know, I think they really are entities that cannot exist or cannot live, I should say. Can't live if they don't have something to feed off of. And I guess you can call it an energy vampire. I know I've heard that term before. And I think the more we the more we give them, like the more powerful they become, obviously, the more control that they have. But I really do think they're just phantoms in a screen. Definitely. And I don't think it's but I think it extends beyond that because I think it's also like when they can get a certain amount of energy, I do think it's possible to make physical projections, like in real time, you know. So I do think it's possible that you could even see people that aren't even people. Like it's probably just a projection, not even in like the NPC sense, I guess, like, you know, but I think it's some people are literally just projections, like by these entities. And I definitely think the people you see like Donald Trump and Biden, I think that's definitely what they are.
Yeah, and like the Queen.
Yeah, the queen, the lizard queen.
Yeah. Do you believe in reptilians at all or anything like that?
I don't know, honestly. Like I'm very open to like a lot of ideas. So it's not something I'm gonna say doesn't exist. Or if it does exist, maybe it's not in the way we believe it exists, you know, because I like I said, I definitely believe there's good and evil. So I mean it could just be the way it's perceived, because I mean you have well, like in the church, you know, it's like demons, you know, and then you've got like people that say, well, it's lizard people. So, you know, I think it's really coming down to the same type of like energies and entities that have different faces based on people's perception of it, or however like they need to categorize it.
Yeah. And you said like that you think the demon can't even exist basically on the earthly realm, right?
Yeah,
Did I
I
say that
don't
right?
think it, well, maybe.
Or
I don't think they can unless we allow, like, we give them enough energy and we can be, I think we can be used as a host, honestly.
yeah, that's what I was
But I
just
don't
gonna
think it
ask.
looks like, yeah, definitely. I don't think it looks like the exorcism though, with like the spinning heads and vomiting. I think it's like a lot more subtle than that.
Maybe they give you some kind of like power or something. Like, and I hate to say the word power because I don't mean like superpower or anything, but they give you some. They must. There's it's some kind of symbiotic exchange though, because I don't think they're just only straight siphoning from you. They must give you something.
Well, I think they give you security. I think people have the promise deep, like I feel like they promise you security in the sense of like, okay, if I conform to this, or if I act this way, or if I accept this, then I'm going to be protected because, and I think that's what a lot of this is, honestly. Like if you're conforming to whatever the news is spitting out at you, like you probably feel like you're on the right side, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying.
They
Yeah.
definitely want to be, yeah, they definitely want to be on the right side when stuff goes wrong because
And then they think they have the moral high ground on you too.
yeah, oh yeah, and you're gonna see that later on. I don't know. In 2021, I think you're gonna see more of that. I think you're gonna see these people literally start to have psychotic breakdowns, and I think you're gonna see some of them become schizophrenic because you can't live in that kind of dissonance for that long. You just can't live like that
Yeah.
in
There's
that type of life because I think it is coming down to they're selling pieces of their soul to these ideals, and that will I literally like I genuinely believe in 2021 you're gonna see these people like become schizophrenic and have breakdowns
Do you think it'll be
and
like
become
zombies?
completely unhinged. Yeah, right. Yeah, it'll be like zombies, but they're gonna be like the slow dumb Resident Evil zombies. They're
But
already like that.
but how do they see us then?
I was saying this earlier, but I think like okay, we see them as the dumb, slow, like retarded Resident Evil zombies, and like they see us as like the 28 days later zombies that are like fast and aggressive.
Yeah, like the World War Z ones and everything.
Yeah, like the World War Z, that's another one too. I think we see each other in the same way, honestly, but in the opposite. Like they think we're like the mindless like animals that are ruining the world basically and like, you know, trying to kill everybody and trying to kill grandma and um And then we see them as just like these mindless puppets.
Yeah, imagine when the food runs out.
Ooh,
Like
yeah.
at where I work, the food literally ran out when on the first run. So to me that had to be to me that seemed like a test run for the supply chain and everything like that. And it ran out. And we have
Yeah.
shit ton of food where I'm at, and
Oh
so
yeah.
and it came back, like they slowly, but even okay, like you said, you saw the ladies fighting over it. So then once the food ran out, there was only like condiments and stuff left. But then they constantly are getting trucks. So as they would get a truck of something and they would be bringing it out. They have a pallet on a pallet jack and they're pulling it out to the floor, and people are like swarming it and grabbing. What they don't even care what it is. It's just because there was no food in there. It's like black beans or something. And they're just
Yeah,
pulling
exactly.
it off because oh my goodness, dude.
Yeah.
We're gonna be so fucked if it ever really does reach that point. They did do like a short period of the if you guys listen to Benton's podcast earlier, like yeah, there was like a period where there was no meat, and then where I was at, they started limiting
Mm.
meat purchases, and it was between beef and chicken, like all the meats. It was like a limit of two or three total. Like not two
Yeah.
chickens each, but like mix and match, two each.
Yeah.
Fucking it's I don't. It's sad to watch the people. I was gonna ask about when you were talking about demons, but it's kind of what we're talking about here too. It's like it's sad to watch these people, and
Mhm.
then there's these external controllers for them, and it's like they just control them like a marionette almost. But I was gonna ask when you talk about demons, and I always wonder if like porn star type women they're probably like infested with like demons or something, right? So I wonder if like
Yeah.
when all these guys are home jerking off to these porns, even years later after they film these porns, if somehow that energy is being siphoned off that guy and going to that woman in some
Oh
type of
yeah, I
way.
totally believe that. Yeah, well, I think that comes down to the illusion of time as well. Like, I don't think it matters if it's filmed like 20 years ago and someone's like absorbing it today. Whatever, whatever energy was put into that especially like sexual energy, because sexual energy is very powerful. It's one of the most powerful like energies you have. So I think that's why porn is such a tool, honestly, and they've used it as such a tool, like a degeneration thing. Obviously, like they want to hit you where it's really going to hurt you spiritually, right? But
Yeah,
yeah, totally. I think whatever went into that and you see it and absorb it, and especially if you're giving
yeah, you're rubbing your magic wand to
like
it
your
and everything,
sexual energy to it, then yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, hell yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like, it sounds like a weird comparison, but if these guys are home like beating their meat to some porn star, and maybe some weird energy is going towards that lady or something, then maybe these people that are being controlled, they go out and buy the toilet paper or whatever. These controllers are almost waving their magic wands. You know what I'm saying? And getting them to just sending this signal
Yeah,
out to
yeah.
them, and somehow they absorb this signal and makes them go do something like that. And I don't know. You got any like
Yeah.
you got any takes on like uh not porn, but like the simps and the simp culture and the demasculinization of men and everything like that?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
Like the simp culture is getting bigger and bigger, it seems like.
yeah, I just think that's a thing that they've been pushing for a very long time, though. I mean, they obviously wanted to invert the roles, but I think it does just come down to because they want to, like, you know, with like the feminism and stuff, they want to make really like women like men and men like women,
Yeah.
like they're really trying to, and it's
Why
sick, really, because
why do
I
they want to
think,
do that?
okay, well, I
You
think
think
it comes down to what I was saying earlier about like hiding our true nature from from
yeah.
people because people don't really like to hear this, but it's just facts. Men and women are different. Deal with it. Like we're very different. Have you like especially if you've like been married or like lived with a partner, like you're not even like the same creature. Yeah, I just think it's that whole thing of like controlling the nature. Like if you can hide people's nature, like they are malleable. We're so malleable. But if you can suppress nature, like God, you can mold people into anything. And now we have like 5,000 genders. Or actually, it's discrimination to say that now. You have to have an infinite number of genders, apparently.
They
But I think we're degenerating just more and more. And I think that's why you're seeing like the simp culture, because I think it's just getting to that point of degeneration. I mean, these kids were raised on porn, basically.
yeah, that's a huge part of it. I did want to say that too is
Yeah.
I mean these kids are fucking have the craziest shit you can imagine. 10 years old on their phone, like back in my day, we were hiding a
Yeah.
fucking picture under the bed, and now they're seeing these chicks are like
Yeah.
deep throwing each other's prolapses, fucking right in their pocket.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane, dude. Like the shit that's on there is insane, and they could easily control that shit if they wanted to and keep it out of young people's hands. There's
Oh yeah.
no doubt about it. I've
Oh no,
I've
but yeah.
I've mentioned before, like
Yeah.
you could just have porn. You can have porn whatever you want, but it's got to be on like, let's say, a .xxx type domain, and then but you'd have to
Yes.
pay for like a license for that or somehow. That's just with 2 seconds of thinking, you can figure out that'd be a way. And then like if you did publish porn on like a .com or anything else, it would just be like the strictest penalties ever, so that no one would even do it.
Yes.
But then
Oh
and that's just me just thinking for 5 seconds. I mean, there's a way you could do it. But they want the motherfucking porn out there, and they want to break down the man's spirit.
oh yeah.
And at my work, I see it manifestation as the younger men we have that come in, let's say 19, 20, 21 years old. They can't
Yeah.
work anymore, man. They can't work. They have physical bodies like a man. They look like they're strong and everything, and they just are really slow. They have no motivation. They have no like
They're weak too, aren't they? Are they weak? Are they really weak?
they're very weak. They have no
Yeah, I'm not
what's
sure.
it called, like self motivation or whatever, you know what I mean? And but then
Yeah.
the girls that we hire that are the same age and they're like small, these small little girls are outworking these grown men. It's like it's
Yeah.
embarrassing to watch
Yeah.
as a man, to see like, yo, this is the future squad of guys coming up, 6 foot
Yeah.
3, 180 pounds, lean and mean, and then there's a 100 pound girl.
No.
There's a 100 pound girl working circles around them.
Well, yeah, yeah, and I think that comes down to like the inversion of the roles too, though, because especially with like all the rampant feminism, you know, as a woman, you're told like, yeah, you have to be able to do all this shit yourself because like men are worthless and horrible and like all this stuff, you know. They make you think that. So I think like women kind of feel like they have to just outperform men these days, and then obviously like, and then we got the simps.
Yeah, and
So
The Simps love being the Simps, like Bella Delphine selling her bathwater and everything like that.
yeah.
Like that shit's wild, and to them it's like,
Yeah, and you know, she probably just turned on a sink and like put
oh,
water in a bottle.
hundred
Like, that's not her
percent,
bathwater.
100%, dude. Yeah, and good for her if she got that
Yeah,
money. But holy shit, like if you're dumb enough to buy that shit, like that's a major
yeah.
problem, man. That needs to be addressed.
Well, that's where we're at. But I do think it does come down to the pornography, though. I think it does rot your brain to an extent. Absolutely.
Yeah, it
It
totally.
rewires your brain in a very bad way. A lot of this programming takes hundreds of years to complete.
That's what's the craziest part about it is, yeah, these people that started, they're probably not even here to see the completion of it. But that's why I wonder if they must know some way to kind of reincarnate and
Yeah.
retain
Oh
some
yeah, I
of their,
believe.
if not memories, at least their types of skills that they have. Like maybe
Yeah, the
Trump's,
consciousness
yeah, let's say
definitely, I think, could
Trump.
be.
I mean, we'd say Trump's an actor, but let's say if it's anything's real, he really is the king of the deal of making deals and everything like that. Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
just as a concept, they know how to reincarnate these people. This guy was like the wheeler and dealer, and this guy knew how to, strike deals between
Yeah.
everyone.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. Then you've probably seen him in history before as a different character.
Yeah, well,
Totally.
they say
I believe
Cyrus
that.
or whoever. I mean, whether
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
one's real or not, but I mean, just that as a concept, I totally believe that. Yeah, they can have, because
Mm-hmm.
they why else would you start some shit you're not gonna see the
Yeah.
end to, because you can only have so much money and so much power. I mean, eventually you get bored of it. So what? I don't know what their end game would be.
Yeah. Right. Well, maybe that's what it is then. Maybe they're just bored and just want to
Yeah,
torture us all.
and like you said, like with the inversion of the genders, maybe they're at the point now where it's like they just want to see if they can do it, even if it takes 50 years. They don't
Ooh,
care.
yes.
But let's just see if we can
Yeah.
make a man a woman and a woman a man, and then as a result, let's see the reality that springs up from that happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
That could be. That's pretty sinister. It's pretty sinister, but I believe it. I mean, I believe it's possible for sure.
Yeah. Hey, I know you're out of time here, but I want to thank you for coming on, and
Yeah.
you want
Thanks for having
you
me.
want to do it again sometime?
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, next time we'll probably try to do we'll get you on the regular stream. Thanks for helping me out, and then let me
Yeah.
shout out
Totally.
to the members again. Thanks to you guys. I'll keep trying to
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
bring the members more, and like exclusive stuff like this, man. If you guys liked hearing from Layla, leave a message, leave a comment, leave some comments for her, whatever. We'll hype her up